Senator Ruston.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Human Services, Senator Payne representing the Minister for Education. Will the minister inform the Senate how the government's higher education reforms will benefit students?
The Minister for Human Services representing the Minister for Education, Senator Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr President, and may I thank Senator Ruston for her question and her interest in this issue. The government's higher education reform package will bring very significant benefits for Australian students, Mr President. As we all know, no student will have to pay a cent up front for their course, and no one will need to repay a cent until they're earning over $50,000 a year. What universities and other higher education providers will have to do, Mr President, is to compete for students, and that will be to the benefit of students, frankly. For the first time, the Commonwealth will be supporting all Australian undergraduate students in all registered higher education institutions in their higher education diplomas, advanced diplomas and associate degrees, as well as in bachelor degrees. For the first time, all of those students will be supported by the Commonwealth. The expansion of the demand-driven system in that way, Mr President, will benefit over 80,000 students a year by 2018, and another 80,000 students who are studying in vocational education training will benefit through the abolition of the 20% loan fee for vet fee help.
Carr.
We're abolishing the 25% loan fee for fee help as well, which will benefit another 50,000 students. And of course, the Commonwealth Scholarship Scheme will provide what will be the largest scholarship support in Australia's history for students from disadvantaged backgrounds. These reforms, Mr President, mean that students will be able to get the education of the quality they want, a truly world-class education in the courses they want, with the support they want, at a price they're willing to pay. Mr President, it is a complete mystery to me why those opposite want to deny Australian students that chance and that opportunity.
Thank you. Senator Ruston, a supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Could the minister further advise the Senate how supporting all Australian higher education undergraduates for the first time will benefit students?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr President. I think it's important to put on the record what people like Belinda Robinson, the CEO of Universities Australia, have said about the reforms. There's a certain irony there. It's simply not possible to maintain the standards that students expect or the international reputation that Australia's university system enjoys without full fee deregulation. Now, Senator Lyons might disparage Belinda Robinson, but she knows what she's talking about in relation to universities, unlike Senator Lyons. As I said, Mr President, earlier, under the reforms, an extra 80,000 students a year will be supported by the Commonwealth. In supporting all students in higher education diplomas, advanced diplomas and associate degrees for the first time, we'll be supporting students into pathways into higher education and in courses that actually provide them with skills for jobs. Those pathways will equip students to do well at university and reduce the dropout rates.
The time for answering the question has expired. Senator Ruston, a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Will the minister advise the Senate how Commonwealth scholarships will benefit students?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr President.
Carr.
Talk about what an abysmal failure you were as a minister.
Mr President, the clock.
Talk about how abysmal you were.
Order on
President,
both
the clock.
sides. Senator Conroy. Minister, you have the call.
What don't you like about JCU, Ken?
Thank you, Mr President, and I thank Senator Ruston again for the question in relation to the scholarships. The reforms will require higher education institutions to spend $1 in every $5 of additional revenue on Commonwealth scholarships to help disadvantaged students. As I said, it will be the largest scholarship support for students in Australian history, and it can be used for fees or to cover living costs for students. In fact, for example, Mr President, the University of Sydney has announced that with fees at less than half what those opposite have been saying, They will offer scholarships for a third of their undergraduates. This will increase the number of students with scholarships at the University of Sydney, Mr President, from 700 to 9,000 at one university alone. And they won't support it, Mr President. They won't allow those students to win those scholarships. They won't allow students to get the sorts of opportunities that they think should be given to a privileged few who are now not all supported
Thank
by the
you,
Commonwealth.
Minister.
That's
The
their
time
position,
for
and it
answering
will
the
fail.
question has expired.